Get into
Okay. What was life like in Russia as a child?
As a child, it was, I went to kindergarten every single day. I walked there usually with my parents, and I remember being able to play with a lot of my friends and being able to go to the playground and go have lunch with all my friends. It was a good time.
So,
it. How is life different here in America?
In America, it was different because since it's a different kind of life since I grew up, and I guess different kinds of expectations. And when you're a kindergartner versus when you're older, people expect different things from you.
The students know that. That's a rule of our school for filming purposes.
And also, it was a lot, in Russia, it was a more like with my family and a lot closer, whereas here we actually started doing like organized schooling, and it was a lot more structured of schooling since I started the first grade here in America.
so in Russia, were there any like special foods you had for like birthdays or like anything like that?
Well, there's traditional foods that we usually have, and we still uphold that here in America. For example, there's a lot of soups, like fish soups or borscht, or like the typical Russian cuisines. And also, I guess we have a lot of meat compared to a typical American diet, so I guess that's kind of a difference.
Did you have any animals when you were a kid, or no?
I had a cat when I was a child, and we brought her over here, but then she ran away about half a year later. Now we have a cat and a dog in an aquarium and a terrarium.
That's cool. What were your neighbors like friendly to you, or did neighbors like in Russia like not talk to each other, or?
In Russia, it wasn't like here where it's like everyone has their own house. It was basically more of a condominium type style. So usually the neighbors were basically like family to us. So we were very close with all of our neighbors. And whenever, I guess, for example, if they used eggs, we would bring them eggs. Or during some kind of holiday, we would all celebrate together on our floor on a condominium.
So what holidays did you celebrate there?
I celebrated, since Judaism isn't really big in Russia, we usually celebrated those like by ourselves within our family, like Hanukkah we celebrated, and Purim, and basically all the basic Jewish holidays. But then also, in addition to that, we celebrated New Year's because as like a lot of Americans celebrate Christmas, it's like a really big holiday. We celebrated New Year's, and that was like our big holiday in Russia.
So, you said you like ate a lot of meat in Russia. Was that like on a daily basis, or was that just like for special occasions? And if it wasn't, then like what food did you? What was your like normal food every day?
It was meats and fish. There was a lot of that for the most part, because that's a like typical Russian diet usually, and usually that's what we had, and then we had a lot of different kinds of like vegetable salads, not a lot of fast food because we weren't really too rich in Russia, so we would the fast food wasn't really for us. We couldn't really afford anything other than I guess home foods and home cooked foods, which was in the end actually a lot better than going out to eat.
Question for you?
Well, how is your relationship with your parents?
In a Russian household, it's actually we're very close, all of us, and we still are. So I guess we were always together, and we were very close.
So thinking back, you graduated from the academy, right?
Yeah.
So thinking back on your time here, what would you tell kids who are here now? Is there any advice that you wish that you would have gotten when you were here?
I would say,
Great question. You would tell them that the best homage teacher you ever had.
with misgivings.
Right, I'm sure, but short of that.
I guess I don't know, expand like, because I know when I was here, I had a 13 people class, a 13 person class, and I know that it was kind of hard later when I went to high school with 1,000 kids in my class. It was pretty hard to do the transition of kind of a lot of like, or a couple of really close friends to being open with so many kids. So I guess from being here, it's just, I guess, talk to a lot of people and being able to be acceptive of their cultures and be acceptive of like all the people and be able to talk to them and be social.
Of special note, Greg, do you want to tell Sarfeg and Rivka how many boys there were in your class of this 13?
There were 3.
Okay, it was a very, very heavy girl class, and yeah, did very well. Did you talk about college at all?
No, not
Okay.
really.
Yeah.
You would tell them what you're majoring in, what your interests are, and what you just did, the 20-mile mud run.
Currently, I started my college as being a business innovation major, and I actually changed it about midway through to being a health fitness specialist. It's a minor in business, and because I've decided like in college that health is really what I'm interested in, and it's really what I see myself doing in like helping other people with their health, because like I've heard of all these statistics that like America isn't doing too well in health. That's what I would really love to improve upon, like as a society. And the mud runs are basically things, because I used to play soccer. I was really involved with that from, like I played here. Here was probably where was my biggest step in like more advanced soccer from the JCC, and then I played here, and then I played in high school, and then after high school, now I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just doing it as a fun sport with friends. But now I do races basically around the country. Like I did one in Chicago, one here in Indianapolis, and one just last weekend I did one in North Carolina. And they're basically just running through mud and doing different kinds of obstacles, and it's a lot of fun.
How many miles was this run through the mud?
The first one was 3, then my next one in Chicago was 8, and then this one was 20.
How long did it like take to get through?
It was actually really interesting because as these races went on, it kind of requires you to do fitness, and it requires you to get better and better and better, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to finish, because usually about 70% of the people finish, and then others either get injured or they give up. So my first one took 4 hours, even though it was 3 miles. And then my next one, 8, took 4 hours, and then this one also actually only took 4 hours. Each one was the same amount of time. It was just my fitness level went up and up.
So was there like any anti-Semitism in Russia when you were living there, or?
Yeah, there was. Even though that I was a child, I still felt some. I just didn't see it as anti-Semitism at the time, but there was a lot of it. And then I've asked my parents about it, and they said that like that's part of the reason why we moved here is because of the anti-Semitism, and because the culture wasn't very acceptive of anything but the Eastern Orthodox Christianity there at the time. I'm not exactly sure how it is now, but I'm guessing that it's still pretty similar to that.
What kind of toys did you have in Russia?
I remember I had like a lot of like action figures fell out the window and I thought he moved and I thought he jumped out. So for a while I thought that action figures moved during the night. And this was before Toy Story, and I never even saw Toy Story. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
So for fun, you just like play with action figures, or did you like?
Yeah, and then
others?
we played around on the playgrounds a lot because I know we had 4, as from my memory, in like I guess the 2-mile radius around my house. Just like 4 playgrounds, and my friends and I just always went to go play there.
So, since there are like a lot of playgrounds around you, did Russia like value like exercise and like nature and?
Yeah, because like nature is a big part of the Russian culture, because even though I lived in the city, a lot of people in the city had land that we owned in the country that was like basically our vacation home, and it's usually like a cabin, and it usually has some kind of vegetation that we grow there, for example, like tomatoes or cucumbers, and it's basically all organic, and we go there to basically get away from the busy life that's in the city. But even in the city, there's also like getaways with parks and lots of exercise that's required from children and from adults.
How is life here like different from Russia? Like, do you have more freedom? Do you feel like you have more freedom here, or?
Well, freedom was, I guess, grew as I grew older, but I guess it was, in terms of freedom, it was very similar, except that I know in Russia, like, my parents walked me everywhere, where here, I know I was able to go like short distances here, but that also contributes to the fact that I was older and my parents trusted me and that they knew what I was doing most of the time, and they still, even though I'm in college, but when I'm here at home, they say that I need to always call them, and they need to know where I am. And I mean, I'm not against it because it's their home and I respect their rules at the house.
That's great. We really appreciate your stepping up, Greg. One of your classmates is in the art room, a girl from your class, Mariah Atlas. So if you'd like to go visit and things, that would
It'll
be
scare you from ever
amazing.
coming back.
That's
You'll be
right.
like,
Yay, no, but it was great. We really, thank you. It's so fabulous. Yeah, that was a really good experience. Mrs. Pykamster was their humanities teacher, right?
She's back.
Yeah, there have been different iterations over the years. Here,
Yeah,
but
she's not here today, though.
No, she's not here today, right. But there are other people. I'm sure Rabbi Glock and, anybody around, you're welcome to go say hello to everybody. And we appreciate this very much.
Thanks for allowing us.
Thank
No
you.
problem.